Asia. Confusingly looking at 2 cameras. There's 3 people on this. This is crazy. Welcome, Rich.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here. A little bit croaky. Apologies for that.
You do sound awful. We'll do the talking, but you can just look pretty there, mate.
I'm just going to shake my head.
Welcome back to Singapore.
Yeah, good to be back. A month out of town and back in the office. Only one here. Everyone's still over Portugal. And yeah, we've come back to this confusing new setup where we're trying to upgrade, but we've got 2 cameras.
I'm hoping it's going to look very professional. This is going to be a double special because obviously we missed the news last week, so we've got a lot of stories to get through.
2 cameras, 2 weeks, and a third guest.
And it's very cozy.
Well, a first guest, I should say.
Very cozy.
Yeah, there's some internet stuff there, but we'll bypass that. So let's launch off with, we'll go through the stories. Let's start with, I think, GLP, the launch of their new platform called ADA Infrastructure. Now, this was announced with an 850 megawatt pipeline. I think this is the same 900 megawatt pipeline they were talking about in Japan. So this has now been formalized. I know that you guys have been talking to them a lot. What have you got on this one, James?
Yeah, well, GLP, like obviously from APAC point of view, we've been kind of tracking and speaking to them about their Japan announcements, which were made, I suppose, last 18 months. They've kind of had several different announcements on this, but like this is a global platform, and they announced other developments in London and Brazil. I think were the other 2 kind of the highlights there. ADA Infrastructure comes from Ada Lovelace, the world's first computer programmer, I believe. I did not know that. I was wondering where they got the name from, but that's apparently it.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of that, to be honest. It's refreshing to see a company without digital in the name or edge or any sort of permutation of that. They have got infrastructure, though, which is the other buzzword that people like to use. So that's a bit of a shame.
I can't wait to see for the comments from Digital Realty and Digital Edge on that, Reece.
Both friends of the show, actually. So we should probably. But the team that they've assembled, Rich. So Jennifer Witzel from Microsoft. They've got senior leaders coming in from DRT, Kyndryl, Meta. So they seem like they're pretty serious coming into this.
Yeah, sure. And look at where they're going as well, guys. They're going, into the data center hubs, the existing data center hubs there, which is probably no coincidence. If they go into places like Japan, with where the mega builds are going to be, I don't think that's any coincidence. So they've got significant presence in the US and EMEA, so they really are going to be competing with the big guys now globally.
Yeah. So GLP been around since 2009 as a logistics developer. Apparently their first data center investment was 2018 in China, and this platform now, ADA Infrastructure, launches with a pipeline of 850 megawatts in development and a supposedly site on 1.5 gigs. So if that all comes to fruition, they'll be a bit of a monster. I guess congratulations to the team over there.
Yeah, congrats everyone involved.
Now, this one, I don't know whether to say it's a slightly smaller new platform, or it's a new platform probably for a lot of our viewers. DataVolt. These guys are Saudi Arabian-based company based in Riyadh. The management team was formerly from a Saudi power developer called Aqua Power, which was IPO'd in 2021. So the CEO, Rajit Nanda, and most of the team come over from there. And they are launching in Bangladesh, their first site. James, Bangladesh is a pretty interesting market.
Yeah, so not a lot going on there right now. Historically, there hasn't been a lot going on there, but there are a number of different players looking at it right now. It's obviously one of those frontier markets, huge population, huge young population as well, to add to that. And like I said, very little actual IT load there at the moment. The announcements mentioned 100 megawatts, so on kind of construction costs, you'd likely see there, this is probably 10, 15 megawatts of IT load, I would imagine. And they're kind of first mover advantage to a degree in that, like I said, a lot of people are looking, but no one's actually put their flag in the sand and made an announcement on Bangladesh yet. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they can get this up and running.
Well, they are on the same industrial park as friends of the show Yotta, so probably a good spot there. Rich, I'm going to let you have a go at pronouncing the name of the industrial park.
Yeah, I might just bypass that one and just make a comment on DataVolt in general. So DataVolt also just recently announced a partnership, I believe it was an immersion cooling company, as well. So it looks like they're definitely going down that AI track as well. And I should imagine Bangladesh, emerging market, what's an advantage of going to an emerging market? First mover advantage, and usually land and power are usually a lot cheaper as well. So as long as they have decent connectivity in there, it could be a really wise move.
Excellent. Well, yeah, definitely one to watch, as is the show catchphrase for DataVolt. So congratulations to the team on getting up and started and officially out in the press. Speaking of things being out in the press, we weren't actually, so Colt India, they already have an operating data center, as I understand, but the news, the phrasing in the press week before last was that they're launching in India. But either way, this is a huge investment from Colt into India. 1.3 billion was reported on W Media, 750 mil on DCD, but they've got campuses in Mumbai, Chennai. So this is big stuff from Colt.
Yeah, so this news. Like, I'm not really sure. I saw that facility. It was under construction at the stage, but a while ago, like 18 months ago at least, probably. So, I think this could be in relation to it opening or being kind of live to take more customers, or maybe this is a kind of a shout out to customers that we are ready to now take you, because they make reference to first phase of 22 megawatt being live and available capacity of 18. So it's kind of suggests 4 megawatts may be sold and 18 megawatts is available for clients. And obviously some of the one hyperscaler in particular has been very active in and around the facilities in that area. So maybe it's kind of a shout out for that. But Colt are across APAC doing very well. They launched, I think it was Osaka in April or March. Yeah. And then also they started construction on their fourth site in Tokyo, which myself and Jingwen went to see a couple of months ago. So yeah, they're doing well, and I think they've got a kind of strong and very loyal customer base of primarily the hyperscalers. So yeah, I think this is good progress for Colt.
Yeah, they've gone from strength to strength since they were. So Colt used to be a British telco company that was then acquired by Fidelity, or half of it was back in 2015. So they split off Colt DCS and Colt Technology Services, and they've gone pretty global since then, Rich.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't realise that, Reese. Nice research, by the way.
City of London Telecom.
I've learned. Just hold on a second. I did make some notes. You guys are a treasure trove. Look, again, they're being very calculated. They're very present in EMEA. Look at the markets they're going into. Again, Japan, which we just mentioned, there, when the mega builds are going to be. And then India, which we all know the potential in India there as well. Colt always strike me as being much more calculated, where they build, how they build as well. They won't go out and just build, without an anchor tenant and for no reason there. So I would say that you're probably going to see that data center filled up pretty quickly, although it is a very big site. But I can't imagine them going into a place like India unless they actually had a lot of intention and customers on board.
Yeah. We didn't actually announce the figures there, but it was 120 megawatts, the site they're building in Mumbai with 22 live, as you mentioned, James, and 72 in Chennai. So that brings their total planned pipeline up to 940 something megawatts globally. I think they've got 140 odd that's operating right now. So yeah, good luck to the Colt team. That sounds pretty exciting for them. And the last story that we'll have on the first video, remember this is a special two-parter for those of you who've made it this far, this is Korea. So those of you who are eagle-eyed on LinkedIn and spend as much time stalking people as I do will know that Charles left Digital Edge to join IGIS a couple of months ago in Seoul. IGIS was an asset management company that I wasn't particularly familiar with. I know they're a very big deal in Korea, but just a very local player in a lot of senses. But they've announced a partnership now, an MOU signed with LG. I think some people were quite concerned about this sort of thing in Korea because the local telco is very powerful as it is, and now they're launching their own platform with 4 data centers to start with.
Yeah, like this is an interesting one. Like Korean market is one with we spend a lot of time on at DC Buy. We were up there just in the last month or so. From a LG/IGS point of view, I think this partnership makes a lot of sense. They both bring different things to the table and different strengths, different access to capital and things like that. So interesting to see how this plays out in the long run. But like I said, I think for the two parties involved makes sense in what is a very tricky market to actually get capacity up and going and live, just with the power constraints, land constraints, civil constraints. So having two big firms like this come together it should be a pretty powerful proposition. I think it's one that the big clients are likely to like.
Well, we talked over the last few weeks, James, because we had a couple of stories in the southern part of the country, both in Seoul, Sado and towards Busan, where the government seemed to be angling to build the big campuses down there away from Seoul. Rich, the big constraint in Korea for that in Seoul seems to be power. I mean, there's obviously lots of other difficulties too, but power is the one on everyone's lips. What are you're in Korea quite a lot?
Yeah, so I mean, there are actually government incentives now to build outside of Seoul. So, pardon me, that's why you're seeing places like Busan and other places start to boom as well. And again, it's exactly what you said, Reece. Because of the power constraints there, what are you going to do? You're going to build more data centers, or you're going to give power to the people, for their condos and houses as well. So they need the hospitals. You remember those guys? They might be a little bit more important than a data center. So there's government incentives in place to relocate outside of Busan. You think about what that does for the economy as well. It actually takes jobs, into the regional areas. One thing that I've always found interesting is, we all know Japan is the behemoth in the area, probably, along with probably Singapore, Sydney, Shanghai, you got Tokyo, Osaka. What happened to Korea? I'm always really surprised that Korea didn't actually grow as fast as Japan or rapidly. If you look at the data center market in Korea, it's still relatively new. There's a lot of new buildings going up there. We know it's a very local market, hence why you're seeing these local partnerships there as well. But they're definitely trying to catch up, at the moment.
Yeah, people are always surprised when we show them our data on Korea in terms of actual live capacity.
Yeah.
It's pretty small.
Yeah.
It's certainly in comparison to those tier one markets you mentioned earlier. And
Exactly.
while there is a pretty big development pipeline, a lot of those projects are stuck.
Yeah. I mean, I published some graphs with data ripped off DC Byte last year, looking at megawatts live versus the GDP and populations of different centers. And Seoul was one of the biggest disparities in terms of very high GDP, very high population, very low available capacity. So huge potential in the Korean market. And this is definitely a development. I just want to point out that Rich Farrell is the only man we could have had on here who would have said power to the people with a straight face on a data center podcast. I can't wait for your keynote at Data Center World.
That's basically, I'm going to begin it and end it. Power to the people, the fist in the air.
People, chanting.
Yep.
Excellent.
Pretty much.
Well, on that note, I'm going to try and cut the video about there, and we'll launch into videos.